Hey guys! Today I'm going to be doing my third wrap-up for the year. I've read not a whole lot of books since my last wrap-up, but I've read enough that it warrants a wrap-up. So I believe that my last wrap-up was like all the books, like ended with all the books I read in April. So this is May and June, technically. So as you guys know, I have to read 4 books a month. Or you guys might not know if you haven't watched any of the other videos, but I have to read 4 books a month to stay with my Goodreads reading goal. And so far I was doing good at that, and then I like fell off the bandwagon. And if you guys see me look frustrated at any point in time with this video, it's because Kai is really hyper right now and he's causing me issues. May, I started off with a pretty hefty book, or what I assumed was going to be hefty, and that is Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. This went to completing the challenge of reading a book that was over 500 pages, and this is like 699 pages, I think. Let me see, how many pages is this? It may be it's 599 pages. So it was well over 500 pages, and this book, I didn't know a whole lot about it going into it, but I knew it was like the main character or something is writing a story, and I thought she got sucked into the world of that story, but that must be Between the Lines by Samantha Van Leer and Jodi Picoult that I was thinking of. This one is it's basically the main character is writing her book, and stop eating my book. The main character is writing her book, and you're also getting told the story of that book in the other perspective. It's weird. It's like you see all the black lines. The black lines is the story she's writing, and the white part is her. And I'm going to be completely honest, when the book began, I really did enjoy her story more than the story she was writing. But as the story progressed, probably about halfway through, I got just done with her story, and I was really enjoying the one that she was writing. And that could be because, you know, her writing was getting better at that point, or it was just more interesting than what was going on in her everyday life. I don't know. I'm thinking that one's pretty much it though. Although I really did like the balance between the two. It was really well done. But that's not really a good summary for this book. The main story follows a girl named Darcy who's graduating high school, and she decided, I guess it's technically NaNoWriMo since she did it in November, but she wasn't, like, it didn't outright say she was participating in that. But she wrote an entire book in a month, and it's getting published. And she didn't bother telling her parents about this or anything, just her sister, because she knew that they wanted her to go to college, and she wanted to do, you know, the writing thing. She wanted to write her book and get all the publishing stuff. Like, she just wanted to like be in that moment. She didn't want to do it in college and everything, which is completely understandable because publishing is not an easy thing to do. And this just proves that it's like, 1, publishing is not an easy thing to do, and 2, living in New York is way more expensive than is actually it should be allowed, really. Although, again, it's like anywhere, I guess. It depends on where you're living in that city or county and whatnot. But the point is, that's one of the reasons why I really liked her part of the story, especially early on, is because we were learning, at least I assume, the truths behind publishing and the ins and outs of it and how difficult it is to not necessarily get published, but to, I guess, come up with new ideas, and you question your writing and you question like what people will think when they actually read it, and the anxiety that comes with that. And I really did enjoy that. Now, the second story, the story she's writing, is about a girl named Lizzie. Her story is very dark from the very beginning, and I think that's one of the main things that drew me to it right away. And the only real thing that lightens up the story at all is the relationship between Lizzie and the other main character. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember his name, and I feel really, really bad about that. But the relationship between those two really lightens up the story, but the story is still really dark at its core, and it's very surprising when you read Darcy's story and think, oh my gosh, she came up with this super dark, depressing story. And I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I want more of the story because it's so dark, but at the same time, I don't, because it feels really personal, and that could just be because of my own personal experiences with everything that it felt so personal. I don't think for a lot of people it would. It'd probably just feel like word vomit spewed onto a page, which I don't know if the actual story Darcy is telling with Lizzie is like, I don't know if we're getting the first draft or the final draft. I think it's the final draft because the ending changed so much. At the same time, it's like I found a personal connection to it, which I think is why I found it so dark and dreary, but also lighthearted in the romance area. But even the romance itself had so many ins and outs and problems, and I really love that. And this book also made me make a new page in my writing journal about books that make me want to write. Not like writing craft books or books about writing or anything like that. Like actual books like this one that make me just want to stop reading and sit down and write. And I absolutely love that this book made me do that. It was bad that I was at the hospital and I couldn't physically write any. Well, I could, but only if I wanted to be interrupted every like 5 minutes, and I didn't feel like that. That still happens now. I usually get like 20 minutes of peace and then someone's yelling for me. So I know there's another book that's made me want to write before, but off the top of my head I cannot remember what that book was, but I definitely started that page and this is at the top of the list. And hopefully I read a lot more books that make me want to write, because it'll just, if I ever get in like a writing slump, or if I just don't feel like writing, I can turn to these books, read, and hopefully they'll make me want to write again. Oh, but star rating. I gave this a 3.75 stars, so technically I rounded it up to a 4 stars on Goodreads. The next series of books I read were Legend, Prodigy, and Champion. These books have been a long time coming. That little bell noise you hear is Kai. I'm sorry about that. Let's start with ratings. In Legend, I gave a 4 stars. Then Prodigy got 3 stars, and then Champion also got 3 stars. I think I actually changed one of these 2 books to 2.5 stars, and I think that may have been Prodigy. I think. But my liking of this series went down a lot after the first book. I think let me summarize this series before I even go into that. But this series is told in dual point of view. You're following Day and you're following June. Now, right away, things for these characters are not looking okay because Day is a fugitive from the law and June works for said law. So it's kind of a very hostile start to a relationship, especially given the circumstances of which they have to meet. It's like June idolized him before this happened, and then she is forced to hunt him down and take him into custody. Now, I'm going to... Oh my god, Kai, quit! I'm gonna put you outside in a minute. Now, one of the characters I want to talk about is June's brother, but I sadly can't without spoiling you guys, so I'm gonna steer clear of him, but just know that I really love his character. All the characters in general in this book, I really did enjoy reading about them, even the villain characters, and I thought all the dynamics worked really well with each other. Although the commander, I wish wasn't so obvious in everything that she did, but I think this is Marie Lu's like debut book, so I mean, for a debut book, this was fantastic in my eyes. And I will say that I got thrown off with a few things, especially since the plot twist that we all knew was coming. Like, you had to know it was coming at one point or another. But I figured it would be like most dystopian novels and most trilogies, and that plot twist would happen at the very end of the book. No, this plot twist happened in the very middle of the book, and I thought, okay, now what could possibly happen at this point? And instead of having like falling action, we do have falling action, but instead of it like being all of that, we had a very interesting, I guess, segue into the second book, and it was actually very fascinating. I really enjoyed this book, and as soon as I finished it, I was like more than ready to jump right into Prodigy, which vastly disappointed me because I'm just gonna be completely honest. The relationship in this trilogy I hate, like with a fiery passion. I hate this relationship. But that wasn't really the main problem with this book, but it was a contributing factor. The pace wasn't as fast in this book, and I really didn't care for all the health issues that was happening with Day and having like no real clue of what was actually going on. And then I just found myself, whenever I set the book down, I just didn't want to pick it back up, and that's why it got such a low rating. Like I said, I think I moved this down to a 2 stars. Champion is the one I had the main problems with the relationship. The relationship became the main focus of both of them, but at the same time, neither of them were sure if they wanted to be in a relationship or they wanted to be together, if they liked each other, mostly on June's end. And after everything that June has done, I don't see how Day could want to be in a relationship with her. And the ending, with how the relationship ended, I did like the fact that June was willing to let Day go and everything, but I also felt like she shouldn't have lied to him, and it was a wasted years. And even though, yeah, I said I didn't like the relationship, I also hate people that lie even more, so wasn't too happy about that at all. It also made the ending feel a bit rushed in a sense, not in the relationship, but with everything else going on around them. And I understand why that had to happen. It was because of the whole health issue, but I don't know, it's not really a problem. It's more like just, I understand why it happened. It actually needed to happen, but at the same time, I'm kind of sad that it had to happen this way. And I'm being very vague about that, but this is like the 3rd book in a series, and I cannot spoil you guys, even though this book has been out for years. I don't know when this book came out. Oh, that's something else I want to talk about. Let's see. This book came out in 2013. Something else I want to talk about is the fact that I love these maps that are in the beginning of all of the books. I think it's in all the books. Is it in Prodigy? I'm pretty sure that there's, yeah, and they're colored the same as the book. But this is something that, about these books, that is kind of irritating but kind of fascinating. I've never read a book that has like different colored font. Like this one is gold, which you probably can't see it. This one has blue, and this one has red. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. The red hurt my eyes. The blue made the text, was it this one? One of these books, it was either Champion or Prodigy. I was reading the text in Day's point of view, which is the different colored one, and then I would switch to June's point of view, which is in black text, and that text would look maroon. And then it's just, the books, you read so long in Day's point of view, and then once you get out Day's point of view, the color of June's text would change and then slowly turn back to black, and by the time it turned back to black, you go back to Day's point of view and start all over again. And that may just be me, but that's what it did, and it gave me a serious headache. I especially think it was Champion that did that whole like maroon text kind of thing, just because it was red, and you know, maroon, black and red kind of fits. And Legend went towards completing the challenge of reading a book told in dual point of view. Next I read Taxing the Underworld by Ellen Borim. I think I'm saying that right. This is a standalone middle grade fantasy book about a boy who is visited by a banshee. And he's been told by his grandfather over and over again about how banshees are like assigned to, there's a banshee assigned to their family, so that if someone is going to die, they'll show up and they'll scream or screech or what do you want to call it for the one that's supposed to die. And this is all about Connor going on a journey to the underworld to figure out who's going to die and try to stop it, or at least have the power to change who actually dies. And I'm gonna tell you right now, straight up, this book, 2 out of 5 stars. Not because I didn't like enjoy it after a certain point, because it did get good like towards the middle of the book and everything, or at least it got interesting enough to where it kept my attention. The romance in this book, one, it's a middle grade series, there shouldn't even be a romance, but I can't even say anything about it without giving away major spoilers for what's gonna happen in the book, or it'll spoil the backgrounds for the characters. What I can say is, back in the time with the Banshee, her time, everything that was going on with this relationship was fine. But they're 12, for one. And 2, dead or not, it's still, in my books, incest. I feel that way 100%, and I just... Maybe there's like a different part of the family tree that I'm just not seeing. And this isn't really a spoiler because there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, there's just a whole lot more to it. You just have to read it. But at the same time, I don't ship it, mainly because even though it probably isn't incest, to me it is incest. So I can't help it. It's just no. The death was also very rushed, and I didn't like it. Not because I was mad about the death or anything. I mean, I didn't care who died at this point. My point is the fact that the person who was going to die died in such a random, out-of-place way that I couldn't. It was, why in this way? And I'm not sure if it was just, it didn't matter what way she died as long as she died, or if she had to die in this specific way at this specific time. I don't know, but there was so many other ways that she could have killed, that she could have killed off the character without making it so random. Oh, and something I want to add, just on the relationship, just on a little side note, the main character's best friend, Jabber, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but him. I ship him and the main character together more than I ship Connor, and I can't remember her name, the Banshee. Ashleen, I think is her name. I think that's how you say it. Anyways, I ship him and Jarver together more than I ship her and Connor. I ship Connor and Jarver together more than I ship Connor and Ashleen together. They just have such a really nice best friend relationship, and I can see that turning into something more, especially since Jarver seems to be a little bit jealous of Connor like a few times throughout the book, and it's just your perspective on it, whether you see that as a possible relationship or not. I personally do, and I find it a much more healthier relationship than Connor and Ashleen. So 2 out of 5 stars. It wasn't a horrible book, but it wasn't my favorite. Next up I have Gamer Girl by Marie Mensushi. you know what, I butchered that name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name anymore. This one I was really excited to jump into when I bought it, and when I picked it up for the challenge of reading a book in a genre that I read least of, which was contemporary, I got excited again to jump right into it. And especially since it was so short, I knew I could like fly through it. And I did. I actually finished this book in a day, or like maybe like 5 or 6 hours. It's not a very long book. It's like 200 some pages, and it's incredibly fast paced. Now, the main character of this book, it starts off right off the bat. Her life is a mess. Her parents just got divorced. She has to move in with her mother and sister and to her grandma's house. Ugh. She has to move with her mother and sister into her grandma's house. I can't English today. Anyways, her grandma is, for lack of a better word, nosy, has a weird obsession with unicorns. She still treats the main character, Maddie, her name's Maddie, still treats her like a child, like she's 8 years old. And I mean, and we get that sense when she makes her change her clothes into these very vintage grandma clothes, like right at the beginning of the book for her first day of school, and then proceeds to walk her to the office of said school, and basically makes her the laughing stock of her entire class. So I knew right away that if something didn't change in this book, like immediately, because it was so short, and if this main character didn't start standing up for herself, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with this book. Because what was going on is her grandma was treating her like a child, which, yeah, isn't okay. But the kids were being so mean about everything. Especially after the grandmother, like, blatantly embarrassed one of the most popular kids in the school, like, in front of everybody. And I mean, yeah, it was funny, but at the same time, that led him to bullying the main character in very harsh ways, and his two other friends were not much better. And the boy she has a crush on is one of their friends, and he did absolutely nothing to help until like the very end of the book. And the entire time I was screaming, get a spine. My thing is, it's just, if the main character didn't start coming into herself a bit more, being less bitchy to people who didn't deserve it, and actually sticking up for herself to the people she needed to, like her grandmother and the bullies and everything, I was done with this book. But I will say it picked up really fast, and the main character got better. I mean, yeah, she only got better in the grandma sense because her mom stepped in, but this family overall was just a mess. But the other part of this book is actually her playing an online game that her father bought for her, mainly so they could communicate because they're so far away from each other. But it also, she met a guy named Sir Leo in the game. It was weird at first because it's like one of those things when you're playing online games, you don't know whether to trust the person or not, whether they're actually, you know, they could be a 90-year-old man preying on children for all you know, or vice versa. It could be a 90-year-old woman preying on children. Not to, you know, I don't want to discriminate there, but the point is, it's one of those things where you don't know if this is safe, and you kind of want the main character to get out of the situation as fast as possible. But at the same time, she stayed pretty smart, and she didn't give really anything away that would make this guy know where she is, or if she's actually a girl or not, or even how old she is. I mean, she stayed pretty smart on this. He, on the other hand, was giving like little hints here and there about everything. So it was very, very easy to figure out who he was, especially since it's such a short book. It's a contemporary. You know you know exactly who this Sir Leo is, even though there's another person that is like technically like it could be him, but at the same time the main character herself feels nothing for him, so it's obviously not going to be him. Yeah, it's one of those things. So it was kind of frustrating, especially since they really didn't talk outside the game, but it got better, especially after the main character started a manga club at her high school, which I absolutely love. I would love to go back to school, like back to high school. I want to go with the mindset I have now back to my younger body and just like play out my life in a different way. But I'd love to start a manga club at my school. I mean, yeah, I had a bunch of friends that were into manga and anime and stuff, but we never had like an official club. I mean, we would just meet before class and talk and hang out, or even during class. I mean, if we finished our work ahead of time, we would just, you know, talk, hang out, draw manga and anime and stuff like that. But I wish I had actually tried to make it an official club. I don't know what teacher I could have done, you know, gotten to help with that, because all the teachers were pretty lazy, for lack of a better word. But I don't know. I mean, I could at least tried. But yeah, rating wise, this book got a 2.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite book. It wasn't my least favorite book. The ending of the book was kind of sappy, but at the same time, I kind of like how the main male character redeemed himself, which it was really nice. I really did like that. The final book that I read in June is technically I'm almost halfway through it, and that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This book is surprisingly very, very good, and despite what my brother says, he says this takes place in Columbus, Ohio. The main character lives in Oklahoma City. So yeah, it doesn't take place in Columbus, Ohio. The movie may take place in Columbus, Ohio, which is the only thing he's seen. He's not read the book, but this book does not. I mean, yes, the main headquarters for Oasis and the IOI is in Columbus, Ohio, but that is not the main setting of this book. The main setting is either the Oasis or Oklahoma City. At least it is up to this point. I mean, he may go to Columbus, Ohio. I don't know, but so far that's not where this is. So that was kind of triggering when me and my brother were having that argument the other day. But, well, it wasn't really an argument. It was just him saying this and me saying that, and it's just, I don't think we've ever actually argued. Well, okay, we've argued, but he's like what, 13, 15 years older than me? So, I mean, arguing just hasn't been a thing that we've done. At least not often. It's very, It's like, it's spread out by like 6 or 7 years if we ever have an argument. Me and my sister actually have more arguments, and we're still 10 years apart, but more arguments happen between us than Josh. Anyways, I'm on page 160 of this book, and it's taking me such a long time to get through it, because if you guys look at the large print version of this book on any site, I looked at it on Books A Million, and the book is 608 pages long, and this book is 372 pages long. And I've been reading on this for like 5 or 6 days now, but look at this font. This font is so tiny. Their large print book has to be like normal sized font, because this is like 2 pages on 1 page. The font is so tiny, and it's maddening a bit, because it's like I'm making no progress, but at the same time I'm reading so much and taking in so much information, and oh my goodness, it's a good thing I love this book so much, because it would kind of frustrate me that I'm not getting anywhere in this book, but at the same time I'm loving it so much I don't want it to end. You know, there's supposed to be a second book to this. It's supposed to be coming out in like 2025 or something like that. It says it's 100 pages long. If the font's like this, it's really actually 200 pages long. Don't let them fool you. But oh my goodness, that book isn't ever gonna come out. That's 6 more years. Oh my goodness, I need that book in my life. There's some people that actually made comments like, why is this book coming out? It's so trash. And it's like, maybe it'll get worse at the second half of the book, but it's like I have 1 chapter left of level 1, and then I get to like jump into level 2. So maybe it gets worse. I don't know. Maybe they don't like the writing style or something, because it's not very dialogue heavy. It's more like a lot of information given to you. And even though I normally don't like books like that, at the same time this book does it so well that I'm really enjoying it. I actually went to the library and I got Nexus. They actually got Nexus into my library by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings, which I plan on reading that hopefully soon. Maybe after I read this book, I don't know. The point is, I have that. Oh, if you guys have seen my challenge jar video / life update or whatever, I think I'll read Nexus as the challenge of reading the book with mixed reviews, because it's a booktuber book. I haven't looked at the reviews for it, but I know they're gonna be mixed anyways, so I'll probably just read that instead of the Marked Girl. But point is, I ended up getting Nexus, and then I also got the movie adaptation to this book, and my brother says it's better than the book, but like I said, he has not read the book. At least, if he read the book, he never told me he read it. But anyways, I've heard a lot of people say that the movie is nowhere near as good as the book, and even though I only have like a week and I had to return the movie, I'll probably just recheck it out if I can, and just watch it after I read this, because there's no way I'm gonna be able to read this in like, I think I had to return that movie in like 3 days. It's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen with this book. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes, but I am very excited to watch the movie, and so far the book is a 4 out of 5 stars. 4.5. I'm not gonna say 5 stars. Let's completely ignoring the second half of this book, just this first half, I really feel like it's a good, solid 4-star book so far. That could go completely downhill as we go on, but I really like the different concepts he's making and the different games. Like, getting through the first gate of this was so much more original than I was expecting it to be, and I'm absolutely loving it. But yeah, these are all of the books that I've read in the last couple months, and I hope to read many, many more in the coming months. Obviously, because this is a booktube channel, obviously I want to read a bunch of books. I'm just gonna go now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!